We'd like again to welcome you all out to the 5 Essential Principles book signing by Brother Kasim Abdur Razzaq. So please make a round of applause for the brother. So it's with great pleasure to actually be tapped to participate with this brother. I'm so proud of what he's done on so many different levels. For those who don't know much about Brother Kasim, he's a psychotherapist, and if you don't know that, just sit down and talk with him, and you'll figure out real quick the brother is sharp in his profession, and he's definitely an asset to our community. Also a son of the historic Rondo community. For those who don't know, it was a very, very prominent economic corridor in the historic St. Paul neighborhood, and he's living proof of the legacy and the power of that particular corridor. And he walks, proud, strong, and represents that in a way that inspires many to come. He's also an entrepreneur, CEO, and lead consultant of Abdur Razzaq Counseling and Social Architecture, basically striving to help us get our heads together, ladies and gentlemen. So if you know anybody, I know I got plenty of people in my family, including myself, that could use a little help every now and then. So I'm glad that we have culturally competent professionals that understand us, right?
Yes, sir.
That we can go to help us get stronger and better. And the brother is also, more importantly to me, he's a black man, husband, father, brother, community member, out here actually putting his time and effort back into the community that produced him. And all too often, we don't get to see that enough. That's a cycle that's extremely important to our community and what we're doing. And the fact that he's embarked on, trying to disseminate some of the ideas and philosophies and experiences for us in the form of a book, to me, is a privilege. And last but not least, he's also not done. Needless to say, the brother is a doctoral student at St. Thomas Grad School of Professional Psychology. So I'm sure in the near future, we're going to be calling him Dr. Kasim or Professor Kasim Abdur Razzaq, one of the two. Either way it goes, we're blessed to have it. Exactly. Kasim, I'm honored to be here with you today. And I just want to get into, some of the things that you put out in the book that I felt were very interesting. But first, you kind of alluded to this a little bit in your introduction, but who is your target audience? And this book is very timely, but what made you write this book now and release it now?
Man, whoo, look, you doing the intro right, too. You doing the intro right. To be honest, brother, the book, it was a selfish endeavor, very selfish. And I mean that from a cultural standpoint of black people understanding self, meaning like I literally wrote the book about me, for me, because it was something that I needed. And I wrote it for self, meaning like other black men, other black boys, other black, homes, families. Man, I grew up, man, I'm a middle child of six kids. Lot of different, potholes and stressors that kind of went along with like growing up as a black kid in the inner city. And I was fortunate, man. I was one of the people that literally dodged every single pothole. I mean, I'm talking about like people can look at my background, it's gonna look pretty squeaky clean. Yeah. No drugs, no gangs, no alcohol, no gambling issues. Like none of that type of stuff is part of, my history. Married for 16 years. And in our society, for all intents and purposes, people would say not only are you successful, but they would use success to identify my wellness. And the reality is like it couldn't be further from the truth. So black wellness is not and cannot be equated with the American understanding of success. And so for me, like I was struggling, man. This was a difficult time in my life, particularly within the last 7 to 8 years of my marriage. And I knew that I wasn't healthy. I knew that I wasn't in a space of optimal wellness. And the book became timely, and I literally made the intention to say, I'm not done with the book, but I'm going to finish the book to have a dialogue. And I thought that that was actually the most important concept within the entire book. The book says that I'm a black man healing, which means it's not completed. Nothing about it is complete.
Gotcha. So, man, there's so much I wanna tackle, but so in the book, I noticed that the way you structured each chapter was very, very important, because it was almost like I was trying to figure out, if this brother just been writing journals since he was like 12, or is this all reflection? But the way you structured it, you start off with a reflection from yourself years back. You go into a personal anecdote on an experience of family, and you were lining up a lot of different things, but then you always closed with what to take away and make sure that you interpreted for those that were trying to reinterpret what you're saying. The brother thought everything. He was like, no, what I meant was thus and so. So don't be twisting my words. Why was that important for you to take that approach, especially with this type of book in this day and time where everybody loves to reinterpret what you're saying?
Yeah.
You took a lot of ownership in each chapter. What was that about?
So the other context of like this book is that at my practice, my team, I told them like that I'm challenging you. I said we all went to the same universities, we all got the same training. None of those trainings were from people from our community that were looking at people from our community, and they didn't use any type of assessment tool to gauge wellness or even how to support people with healing. And so now we have to actually shift as practitioners from going from being a therapist to a theorist. And so for me, I never wrote this book with the intention of saying I'm trying to talk to the Harvard professor. I wrote the book to talk to us, to have a conversation with us. Right. And so a big part of even just how I formatted the writing was that in a way that was culturally responsive to us. And like as black people, we learn through story. We could sit around grandma, grandpa, and they would tell us a story. They didn't never tell us what to do, but they told us the story, and it was up to us. And this is part of our cultural strength, is that we heard the story and we found ourselves within the story. And then we knew exactly what we were supposed to do.